All right, so a couple of the other things that I wanted to talk to you guys about today would be like 3 different types of tips to help maximize your chest growth.
All business, no love, never what it did, always what it does.
One of the first tips that I have for you is when you're training chest to actually train it in all the forms of the motion. That being said, so that would be through the mid-range of the motion, which is all the way through it. You have the upper range of the movement, which would be where you're just kind of locking out there at the top. And then you have the low range of the movement, which would be coming all the way from the bottom and keeping it in that low range. So one of the machines that I really like to use for that mid-range movement would be any type of machine chest press like this. So we have Anthony over here on the chest press. So he's here. He's going to drive those shoulder blades back into the pad. And then he is going to slowly push those all the way forward. And this is a good machine that you can actually lock those elbows out while still keeping a good activation on that chest. And he's going to control that weight down all the way to the bottom. But you'll notice here, this is very mid-range, working through the middle range of the movement, going all the way down, all the way up.
Make sure shoulder blades are glued to the pad.
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes against what we talked about in the previous videos of having shoulder blades wide. For shoulder health and this full range of motion, you actually want the shoulder blades somewhat together and down so that you're not impinging. If you're out here, you can see my shoulders rolling forward a ton.
For sure.
Back and down. Keep the shoulders a little bit healthier.
Makes total sense. I know one of the other things that I like to do while doing this type of movement to help with that activation as well is, even though this movement is going straight forward, I like to think of it as I'm trying to actually squeeze in at the same time. And that just, to me, seems to get a better contraction on the chest. Now, do you notice any difference when you're trying to push in as well?
The machine kind of helps.
Okay, for sure.
The way it moves is in as well. But yeah, definitely more of a squeeze, especially at the top here.
Absolutely. One of the other movements that I want to show you, we just talked about an exercise that would help hit kind of that mid-range of the movement. So the next one we are going to focus on is a floor press, which is going to focus on the top part of that movement. So Anthony's going to lay back here, and just like he did on the machine chest press, he's going to drive those shoulder blades back into the floor. And then you'll notice, though, as he's coming down, his range of motion isn't as long as it was with the chest press because his elbows are being stopped by the floor. But this is a perfect movement, not only to help with your strength, but to also focus on that top part of the movement and activating that chest. So as he's coming up to the top, that is that part of the movement that we're really focusing on right here. So the other nice thing about this movement as well, this is a very underrated exercise, is you can feel really supported on here. And you can really just focus on getting that activation in your chest to where you're not focusing so much on balancing on the bench. You can also target the bottom range of the movement. So here you will see me doing a dumbbell bench press here, focusing on that very bottom range of the movement. I'm only going about a quarter of the way up, but if you were to perform this exercise, you're going to notice that there's a lot more tension in the chest that stays continuously throughout this exercise. The second tip that I have to get a bigger chest would be hitting it from all different angles. So you can hit it from an incline angle, you can hit it from a decline angle, and you can also hit it from that neutral angle. So here in this exercise, we're going to be doing some dips, which is going to focus hitting the chest from that decline angle. I really like performing dips this way. I'm able to have a little bit more control over it, and you can really feel it target that bottom part of the chest and just keeping that consistent tension throughout the entire movement. So another way that you can hit the chest from a different angle, we just talked about doing it more from a decline angle by doing dips, or you could do a decline dumbbell press, decline bench press. The other thing you can do is change the angle to an incline. So one of the things that I did, I have a standard flat bench here, and all that we did was put a small plate right underneath the back of it just to give it that slight incline. Now, you can choose the height that you want to do to change that angle. I prefer doing it at a little bit of a lower angle, just so that way it does not have as much stress on the shoulders. And I just noticed that it feels like much more of a natural movement than doing it on a high incline angle. But anyway, the press still becomes the same. So we're going to lay back here. Shoulder's going to stay pressed against that pad. And as we are pressing up, you are going to notice that this feels much different than if you're doing this from a flat angle. One of the last tips that I have to help with your chest growth would be to change up the rep range. So I kind of divide it into like 3 different areas. So that would be your range between 6 and 10 reps. That would be from 10 to 15 reps, and then from 15 to 20. So there are benefits to training all of those rep ranges. However, if you were to continuously train in the rep range between 6 and 8 reps, that is a lot of stress that is on the body. So to be able to continue to train like that week in and week out is going to put a lot of damage to your body. So very important, and other things that you can do would be to change up that rep range, so that way you're stressing that muscle a little bit different, and also giving your central nervous system a little bit of a break, as well as your joints. So even if you are doing it in the 15 to 20 range, some of the benefits are you are not normally used to doing 20 reps. So fatigue is going to start to set in at some point. And then when fatigue sets in, that means your body's going to recruit more muscle fibers as it would if you're doing it with a heavy load. So very good to change up that rep range, whether it's throughout every workout, whether it's you're changing that throughout the weeks, but to give your body a little bit of a rest and to also stimulate that growth on the chest.